Hey guys, so our group's main goal is to improve the overall safety of all students at UK. So we'll be talking about how UK doesn't do this and how we can ultimately be better at it. So I'm going to take you guys through my walk to class. So while I'm a student that lives off campus, it turns out that research shows 97% of all violent crimes occur off campus, and 66% of those crimes are all sexual violent cases. And when you look at those 66% of sexual crime cases, they're all related to alcohol, one of them being intoxicated, also allowing for the confusion between consent. So this even goes to show that regardless of Kentucky having a alcohol EDU course for students that they must complete their freshman year, it shows that it's not really doing much to the overall well-being of students in alcohol-related cases. As you guys can see on my walk to class, I'm pretty much in just the public, walking around the other student living apartments as well, and there's pretty much zero security about 5 minutes off the campus. None of those blue posts for students, no police departments, plenty of spots for anything like the University of Kentucky. Obviously, it's an open campus, and you're in the middle of a city, people are going to be in and out all the time. Anyone who doesn't go to the school can pretty much find a way on campus and pretty easily. Even though campus is, starting to expand with new buildings, it just makes the campus bigger and gives a bigger radius for anyone to pretty much be on the area and invites more people to come to campus. I'm walking on the campus now. As you can see, we're open right near a main road, and this is the first help pole that we're going to see. Right outside of Alumni Gym, we have one right here and one over there, so they're fairly close to each other. This is kind of what they look like. You press a button and a service member will come. So it's a good sign that they have multiple next to each other, but we really can't depend on the speed of someone to arrive, who will be there, and there's many ways to get away from the places of violence as well. Walking past Alumni, we're coming up to another one, and you kind of just forget really how big our campus is. I think you can't take accountability for every single student. Large campus, such a public campus, such easy access to the city and the general public. With over 40,000 students, it's obviously hard to account for every single one of them and their safety. So we need to educate them. What we really do for these students is to help prepare them for these situations, how to handle them, who to go to, fastest way to help, where help is. That's the only way we can really account for everyone and then give them the best chance in times of danger. 97% of all violent assault crimes happen off campus. Doesn't mean that no violence occurs on campus. So as long as I've been a student at Kentucky, now in my fall semester of my sophomore year, 3 students have committed suicide on campus. One right outside of Jewell Hall. Mental health is harder tough to fight because it's easier to hide. We don't know who's fighting it. We don't know how bad they have it. And it's very easy to conceal from people that are trying to help them, which is why UK needs to take a step forward. Mental health. So when we're talking about these kinds of violence, it's a lot harder to combat, obviously, because they're mental. They're not seen, they're not physical. It's harm done by the person themselves. So this means that stuff like this is easier to hide from the university and people that are really trying to help them. As far as mental health resources, there are like websites and online help that the university offers, but there are business hours and employee hours for this kind of resource, whereas mental health doesn't run on a clock. So having a limited resource like this ultimately doesn't really help, because we'll never know when this student needs it the most and how dire of a situation they'll really be in unless they want it to be known. So with UK's inability to really account for all of our students mentally and physically, there is a way for UK to stick with these students for the rest of their college career and from life then on. So if we were to implement some sort of educational class regarding mental health and sexual violence, I really do believe that it could very well increase the overall safety of the campus and give students a tool that they can use for the rest of their lives. So if UK were to implement some sort of class regarding overall safety into the curriculum here at UK, it would greatly benefit all the students and their overall well-being. So mainly we would cover topics regarding violence and alcohol-driven violence. We would talk about alcohol, more specifically than EDU, how to handle it, what happens when someone passes out, someone's too drunk, and really playing into the whole consent and sexual violence concepts. If there's a robbery, we'll talk about how to handle a situation like that. We'll talk about self-defense. We'll talk about how to defend yourself. We'll talk about what places are safe, what places are not safe, and basically just how to be safer in public and on campus. And then regarding mental health, this is a huge one. We can definitely educate students on, one, really what warning signs of suicide are. So if it's not them, it could be one of their friends suffering. And with a platform like this offers at least 2 or 3 days a week that someone has direct access to a counselor, someone that can help them, or there's other students there that they can talk to that could also be struggling with mental health issues. And as history shows, it's a prominent problem not only at UK but at college campuses around the world. It's young kids with a lot of pressure and they're alone essentially. So mental health is definitely a topic that we need to implement into the curriculum at UK, along with violence and sexual violence and alcohol awareness. And if UK decides to do this, I truly believe, and our group truly believes, that this will very well increase the overall safety of students at the University of Kentucky.